Hey folks, Tracy, Strong Spirit Woman, and in today's video I thought I would do a little follow-up on some more detail of the diet. A lot of people like to think that we're crazy or we flip-flop a lot, and I want to say that in retrospect it's because of all the different diets I've done that has helped me to gain through direct experience, the best way to learn, a lot of information. Upper and lower limits of the macronutrients for one, and for two, the fact that there's a huge difference in my health when I'm eating fruit as a carbohydrate source only without the starch. And the research supports this. So while I know this is just flipping everything on its head yet again, because in the media, sugar is demonized, fat is demonized, which should be telling, right? It should get to a point in people's mind where they start to hook up as soon as they notice that something's being demonized over and over again in the mainstream matrix media outlets, that then the opposite of that is probably what's actually true, because they're not trying to help us feel our best. You know, there's too many institutions that rely on us actually being sick. So, or at least just marginally okay. As we were winding down with this high protein and fat, it was just both of us were starting to have these different symptoms. Okay, so the higher the protein, the more I was just noticing like my nails were getting brittle again, which surprised me. And I was starting to have these insulin crashes, this feeling of like eating a meal and like I just felt like my body wanted to just drop, lie on the floor, close my eyes. That only happened when I was doing a high starch diet prior. I still wasn't sleeping great, and I still wasn't healing my constipation. And towards the end of this whole thing, I started to gain the fat back in my thighs, which is a little frustrating because it's the hardest place for me to finally lose fat. It's been up, down, up, down. I really leaned out in the very beginning of our journey, like within a year of adding lean protein and eliminating grain and bean and starch from the diet. That's pretty much where I was starting to feel pretty darn good, but we were still eating nuts and some greens and things that might have been still contributing to certain problems because of the oxalic acids or whatever. And anyway, the more we started to follow the low carb or keto or high carnivore people, the more we just kept experimenting with less and less carb. We weren't really craving the carb, greens, vegetables, or much fruit, except for a little here and there. So that seemed fine. We just went with it. But after time, I was having these cycles where I would really crave sweets. And since I wasn't necessarily having a lot of fruit around, I might go get my sweet fix somewhere else, like a brownie with cream cheese, thinking, oh, well, that's close to keto, right? And I would have a little third of it, and I'd be good, but then I would, eat that over the course of a few days, and then I'd be fine for a while. But nonetheless, the cravings were starting to bother me because it's a feeling inside of you that's like driving you to something that you feel like you're not supposed to have, and it's annoying. Obviously, anyone who's dealing with cravings knows it feels like you're out of control. But of course, now eating meats and sweets, this is not a problem. I'm getting all the sweet I want, and I'm loving it. So we are eating more fruit, and probably closer to, well, I haven't been tracking. Dawn has, maybe closer to 30% of our diet is carb. And it's still roughly close to hypercarnivore, but maybe not quite, but close. So at least probably 60% of our calories, if not 70, are still coming from animal foods. The constipation issue has more or less resolved as long as I keep eating the way I've been eating. We're supplementing with glycine powder, and that can be super important and helpful. So I'm having some warm milk. I've also added some bulk gelatin and honey, and this is great before bed. For sure, the old wives' tale, milk and honey, warm milk and honey before bed can help you sleep, but especially when you add that glycine. So the ratio of glycine to methionine is important. We'll talk more about that specifically in future videos, or Don will write about it either way. And supplementing with gelatin is definitely something we're finding to be super important. So because of that, I've been making a lot of jello. Super easy recipes. I nearly got a page ready. I had a glitch with the internet, so I hope I didn't lose everything I started, but should be up sometime by tomorrow, next day at best. I've got carrot salads now, fruit salads now, recipes just written out on my website, and you can go to the strongspiritpath.com or strongspiritwomen.com and look not only for those recipes, but our meats and sweets approach if you're wanting to see more clearly what we've been eating. So I might have eggnog in the morning, an egg, I'll add the gelatin, maybe the glycine. This morning's eggnog, I also added the Prove It sweet cream and a peach, so peaches and cream, it's so good. And then I might have yogurt and fruit with some honey and coconut, or I might have cottage cheese with fruit, either canned pineapple or cut up fresh peaches, or even prunes that I like to keep rehydrating in water with the cinnamon stick. It makes a nice thick sweet syrup after a while. I snack on dried fruit, and we have one main meal of a leaner protein, not having so much of the fatty meat. I'm not even craving it. Today I had, as you can see, stir-fried chicken that I pre-marinated in local grapefruit I'm trying to use up that we have with a little drizzle of olive oil, salt, pepper, and a garlic herb spice. And then when I went to cook it, I cooked it in a little butter with coconut oil and added scallion and pineapple. Super easy, tender, delicious, really enjoying it. I'm eating carrots every day, at least one carrot, or I make the carrot salad they have around, and you can see the carrot salad recipes on the website. So the higher protein and fat, very, very low carb was leading to a little feeling of imbalance hormonally, mentally, sleep, elimination, and even the crashes after some of the meals. And of course, when we were only eating a fruitarian, vegan diet, obviously we were missing out on all of the nutrients that you need, bioavailable nutrients from animal foods. And both those diets were not quite adequate enough in the gelatin and glycine, despite our always making bone broths. So that's been the change, and now it's making sense why I went on this whole fruitarian thing to begin with, because it's helping me see very clearly the pros and cons to each of these. And as I mentioned, we're roughly following Ray Peat, but we're applying also other research Don is reading. And his message is to not follow an authoritarian approach to eating, where it's like, do this, follow this particular macronutrient profile, and instead just teaching how to eat to optimize energy, optimize metabolism, optimize the health of your nervous system, your hormone function, your thyroid function, your digestion and metabolism, I think I already said. And it's like, it's so freeing. Because how we do this might not be how you'll do it, but it's just a matter of understanding that it's okay to eat sugar when it's the right sugar, and when it's absent, all the really unhealthy fats and oils. So the bulk of the problem that the average person is eating is all the food in the center aisles and in all the pre-made convenient foods that have a lot of carb from starch. So mostly grain and grain products. I don't care if it says whole grain or not, it's all the same. And the wrong oils, either hydrogenated oils or the plant oils, soy oil, sunflower oil, these oils that are not good. That combination together is especially bad. And when you're not getting enough fructose sugar to balance the glucose, that's not good. It's creating its own imbalance. So I know everyone's afraid of having honey and fruit and sugar, but we're having a high fructose diet that's very minimal to no starch, low starch, I'll just say, supplementing as needed. And rather than feeling, so special because I've reached the mountain of eliteness of diets where I can go all day with just one meal a day, and I'm not eating any plant foods, so I've really hit the top of the heap. I mean, when you look at all this, it's like crazy making. And I understand, I say it kind of fondly, because it's like I just know we're all going through this process for a multitude of reasons. But when you're really driven to just find the truth and feel really your best, then you can start to let go of some of these ideologies that we get attached to, because there's other things operating in the mind that are desiring to be part of a tribe, and the ego can get out of the way, and we can allow in some new information, then some change can happen. So if you need to supplement, it's not a sign of weakness or your diet's wrong if you need to supplement. Some people might need to take thyroid glandular herbs, adrenal support, magnesium. I also take chromium, boron, and a couple of other supplements that are for the eye health. And all of this is helping me feel better. So which of these things in particular, of the combination, I don't know, but I really like being in the land of milk and honey, to the point where I'm allowing my body to do what it's doing, like it or not, and I'm just going to ride the wave and see where it goes. So I'm not focusing on just where I'm feeling uncomfortable or like, you know, body image. I'm focusing on joy and internal health and trusting my true nature. I'm eating what I'm eating because it really just feels right to me. I mean, it just tastes good. It's even easier than what we were doing, and it feels right. I mean, just couldn't be happier. So my no longer so warm milk with honey and gelatin and glycine. Had some awesome coconut jello, by the way. You'll have to go check out that recipe. So anyway, that's my update. Again, you can go to my website and look at more. It's still getting updated. Some pages are still not quite updated, but it's a whole new format, and I think it's a lot easier. And now I'm just deciding what to do with the blogs that I had, so we'll see where that goes. But anyway, I hope this helps. And of course, you can check out Ray Peat's information, a lot of articles. Look for like the sugar issue article at least, and look, really scroll down and look for what he says about oils and coconut oils and fats and all of that. So I think that's good enough. So I'll just see you in the next video, or maybe I will discuss a little bit more about the situation with my mom and where we're at in terms of what we're trying to do or change in our location and family issues and stuff that I've been observing that might be beneficial for helping people maintain healthy brain or cognitive functioning as they age and things like that. So see you in the next video.